Hey guys, Leonix here. This is week one, day one, C9 versus TSM. I'm joined by Meteos after his revenge win, right? Is that what it is now?
I guess you could call it revenge because they beat us. Usually they have the finals from the end of last split be the first match, so I guess it's revenge.
Do you feel like you kind of like missed out on the whole MSI experience after, unfortunately, the loss against TSM?
I think MSI would have been cool to go to, but honestly, if we did like the same as TSM did, I'm kind of glad we didn't go because sometimes time off helps, especially when we're getting a new roster. So we definitely needed the extra practice time. We didn't take a break like a lot of teams did. We just kept scrimming the entire time. So I think that was a necessary break that we got.
I know one of the last topics that we've discussed on was the fundamentals of like getting straight to the problems of like your team. I know High was a big departure for you guys. Incarnation, obviously, that's an obvious question. How is he like on the team? Please give me a review of this wonderful player that you guys picked up.
I think Incarnation he's a good player mechanically. He does really well in solo queue, so he knows how to get good at the game. But there is a huge shift from solo queue to competitive that I think a lot of things get overlooked. One thing that I was thinking about recently is that in LCS games, one thing that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough is how teams will generally have a strong point and a weak point, regardless if they're winning or losing. It's not just, oh, let's win all lanes, win games sort of deal, because that just doesn't work. When you're trying to win your lane, you make yourself vulnerable and you have to play safe so you don't die. So there's all these factors that I feel like don't get talked about a lot. And so one thing that's really hard that you can't practice in solo queue is basically losing gracefully. If you're in a really bad matchup, you have to know how to you have to learn how to lose lane effectively, because if you just go aggro when you're in a losing matchup, you'll get camped and ganked and you'll lose the game for your team. So it's one of those things that he's not really comfortable losing his lane still because he's used to always winning lane. So that's a bit of growing pains for him, and he's learning it. And this TSM, he was put in a really bad situation, but I think he handled it pretty well. So it's that sort of thing that is the hardest for solo queue players to learn for competitive.
I know a little while back, you're obviously on social media and whatnot, there's like a whole bunch of mid laners trying out for C9. Now, I know around the whole circle jerk of the community, but what was the actual final decision that made you pick Incarnation over Pobelter and all these other players? Like, was there any chance that Pobelter or any of the other like candidates could have even been on C9 like Yasui?
I actually was really happy with all the tryouts. I thought Yasui or Pobelter both would have made really good mids for us, but I don't know if we can go into every part of our decision process because there were some things other than just deciding, which one we like the best. I mean, that was a big part of it. But pretty much it just came down to he would be the best fit for us because, Yasui's still doing really well with the challenger team. We don't really need to break that up. They'll probably get LCS anyway. And then Pobelter had like a bunch of offers coming in from a lot of teams. And Incarnation just seemed like good for us because he was a player that we could basically try to mold to what we wanted. He was extremely good mechanically, and that's something that is hard to teach someone. Someone who's the best team player ever who doesn't have mechanics won't do too well because like if you're just constantly losing lane in situations where you should be winning, then it's really hard to win games. So he had the fundamentals basically. I'd say in LCS, mechanics are the baseline. You have to have them. Then everything else is just on top of it. Communication, knowing how to play the map, that sort of thing. So that's all stuff we can teach him, and he's pretty motivated to win. He is getting used to like being on our team. It's probably something he hasn't experienced before. So it's going pretty well.
I know that's a very early in the season. It's week one, but I like doing this at like the very beginning of the season to see like the actual result because like one of them is like asking Adrian or like Apollo of like how they're going to, what places they're going to end up, and they told me fourth, and they ended exactly at fourth. So where is the expectations of C9 this split and leading up to Worlds, right?
I think that's really hard to say because one thing that's going to be hard for our team is with a new roster, you have to see how you take losses because winning's easy. After you win, everything's good. But if you lose, it can be really hard on teams. You can lose trust in each other and that sort of thing. So it's hard for me to say now. I would hope we would finish top four, like maybe around third or something, because CLG and TSM look pretty unstoppable. But it really depends with how well we can bounce back when we inevitably lose because we could have lost this game easily today. The win doesn't mean that we're better than TSM. It just means we had a better game. So it's going to be rocky at the start, I'm sure of, but basically just how well we can function as a team will determine how well we end the split.
Okay, fair enough. So I know that a lot of your career has been based off of your performance and how you jungle and kind of like the serious aspect. But the most that's been getting on the front page of Reddit, right, are you and doing with Sneaky, with terms of auto spacing, auto jungling, whatnot. Are you? This is a side that I have not seen of you like actually in person. Is there a reason for that? Like, are you going to be an entertainer, or are you going to pursue more of the streaming role?
I don't know. I've always sort of had a troll personality, and I just get along really well with Sneaky. We basically just bounce stuff off each other, and it just turns into what you see on stream. So I think that's just a natural chemistry thing. I don't set out to be super funny or entertaining and stuff. It just comes naturally for us. I think he's really funny on his own, but I'm sort of only funny with Sneaky. So if that makes sense. I'm not really looking at an entertaining thing. I really enjoy the serious part of the game. I love the competition. And when I do decide to stop playing, I'm probably going to look for something else in esports, whether it's trying to work with Riot on the game somehow. Not really sure if they have jobs for players, but or just something else within an esports organization. I just really love esports, basically.
I think the very last time that I've ever seen like a real like mic check of you guys is like the cum shot in 7, right?
They don't do mic checks for us very often. I think we don't have the cleanest comms, so that does happen.
All right, shout outs, plugs, Meteos.
Just the normal stuff, thanks to all of our fans who supported us. It might not be our best season because we're having all these changes, but we really do appreciate the fans who stick by us and don't flame us super hard when stuff doesn't go as well. And of course, thanks to all of our sponsors. We couldn't be here without them. So
if you want more coverage just like this, be sure to check out SK Gaming on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Other than that, till next time, guys. Thanks, Meteos.